Hello to all the audience of the Budapest International Documentary Film Festival. My name is Manuel Contreras, a festival programmer, and we are here now with Janna, director of the film Walchensee Forever, and she is actually right now in Walchensee, where she shot the film. Yeah, and unfortunately we cannot have you live this year because of the circumstances. We would have loved to see you here in Budapest in person, but this is very special that you are there at the moment. Like, we just watched the film and then we're in the same location.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, okay.
So, Janna, well, this is a story. As an introduction, I want to say, it's a story of a family, of 5 generations of women in a family, and it's in the frame of motherhood. So what I wanted to ask you for first, being this such a personal film, and also the fact that this is something that from beginning to end is a story that gets like richer and richer and richer and richer, but it starts as something very simple. I wanted to ask you, what was your initial drive? What led you to make this film?
This took years. I think I started the film when I was kind of 5 years old, but I didn't know then. I started it when I was a child because my mom always interviewed me with her camera, and I liked to be behind the camera. I went always behind the camera, and I saw it as a game when I was a child to interview my mother. And I think the film is a long process. I went to film school, and then after I finished my film school, I felt ready to really dig into this topic and into the film, and to make a film about the bond between mothers and daughters, because the men are very absent. They're not really there in the film, because it's how I experienced also how I grew up, that I had these strong women around me. And there's a lot of footage that I found in the basement of the cafe of my grandmother, that my mom collected, all her photographs, the Super 8 material, all the private archive material, the letters. And I thought, I have to tell this story. And if I don't do it now, my grandmother won't be there anymore. And it was the last summer that I was very intensely filming with her before she died. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it was clear to you, but that from the beginning, that it was going to be a story about the women in your family.
It was clear because I wanted to transform it into the film, how I experienced my upbringing and the story. So I wanted to tell the story out of the point of view of women and tell their story. Yeah.
And did you find it somehow difficult in the beginning, the idea of how to depart from that and to make of it a story,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was very difficult to find a way to tell the story. I knew there is a story, but it took me lots of thinking, talking with my mother, talking with my editor, and the whole film really in the editing room, it still was a process. I still went out taking interviews with my mom while being in the editing room. So it was a huge process. And my mom was kind of also scared of the film because she said, oh, how do we gonna tell a story about ourselves in a 90-minute film? How should we be able? And I should all tell it. And I said, yeah, we'll see where we're going. So, and in the editing room, I had so much footage, and I was thinking and telling my mom, I'm not even able to tell the story in 90 minutes. So it's a film, it went 110 minutes, but it could be a series. I have so much footage. Yeah, I could even stretch that. Yeah.
Yeah. I really wanted to ask you about that first moment when you approached your mother with this idea, you know, and how was that moment for her?
Yeah, she was she felt a weight on her shoulders because she thought, oh, I don't know, I don't want to go back in my memory, in my thoughts, and it was a big challenge for her to open up, and it took lots of conversations in front of the camera also, that she forgot about the camera and got into her feelings and into her memory, and it took over a big period of time, maybe 1 or 2 years. We talked over and over again. So and then at the beginning I had a cameraman and a sound guy, and then I felt she's a little different, and I thought I have to do it all by myself. So I got a camera and a sound and did it the same way we were doing it when I was a child. So just the two of us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is very clear that intimacy that you have in your film throughout the whole film. That is your film made by yourself. And but then comes in the film this very important moment in the film is the moment when Frauke appears, you know, and she is like somehow like the missing link in the story. That's the way that I saw it. That I was thinking, when did you realize that her story had such an impact in the whole family?
I realized it before I was doing the film, of course, that there's a mystery in the past of my mother's life. I never got to know Frauke. She died before I was born. And it felt like that there's that there's also a secret, like a dark secret surrounding it. Her pictures were hanging on the walls where I grew up, in the coffee shop of my grandmother, of Frauke, and I just sometimes heard about their adventures through Mexico or their music, and I was fascinated as a child about these stories, but then it was always a mystery how she really died. And my grandmother always talked about an accident. Then my mother said to me, no, you know, maybe she did it on purpose, like a suicide, or she was in a different state of mind, like in her psychosis. And so it is a key element. Frauke is a key element in the whole family because it's like a trauma for my mother and grandmother. And she's a big part. And that I even talk about Frauke when I was a child, that I want to run through the woods or walk through the woods at night like Frauke did. That was, so unconsciously it had a big impact on me, the whole story.
Yeah, there is a moment in the film, there is a turning point when we start seeing Frauke's decay, right? And in that moment there is also, where you are right now, there is a big wind that you start hearing. So I'm curious about that moment when you were filming.
When I talked to my mother about Frauke and the wind starts blowing, and it was really actually happening. It was a stormy day, and we were talking, and my mom, Anna, she said, let's not talk about it, and see, can you hear the rain? I don't know if it's worth it now. And she want to postpone it, the conversation, but it was kind of also, Anna feels like she always feels her sister somehow being there, not always, I mean, in the conversation. And it was a very special moment, yeah, to talk about Frauke. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and all of the happenings in the film, all of the conversations that you have, this film somehow became like therapy for your family. So one question that I wanted to ask is the whole process. What did it represent? Like, you know, what things changed, and how did you, like, by facing the past, what were the reconciliations that were made in the family?
Yeah, I between my mother and me. So I thought first in the beginning, where will it go with my mother? The relationship, will it be different after the film? And when we talk so much, I didn't know what will happen. And now my mom and myself, my grandmother never saw the film because she died before the film, before the film was finished. But my mom feels a big relief now. She's so happy also with the film, because we both feel like that we looked at the past, talked about the past together, and now we can even leave it behind. And also for my daughter, it's like, she's the one that goes out now into the future, and everything is like open to her, and we feel a big relief with this film now that everything kind of is set between us, and we grew even more together, my mother and I. Yeah. Even in a creative process, we talked so much creatively. Also, I involved her I showed her the rough cut of the film, and so she was always also involved in the whole filming process. Yeah.
So how was your relationship with your mother before the film?
Before the film. We were very tight, or how do you say, a strong bond between us. She was very supportive in my creative search, or even with my film school. But through this film, it's like we made this film even together. It's like, because I needed her for telling the whole story. And it is an epic family tale, and she's the one. I just put it together, all the things, and I finished it, but it started maybe also 100 years ago. Yeah. And she's the red line in the film that knows about all the things that happened, and we grew even more stronger and together through the filming process. Yeah, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and since you say that this is something that started like more than 100 years ago, so I'm curious to know, with your own words, what is it that you thought that was, if there was something that was embedded in the family, you know, that was being carried by generations, mm-hmm. and then came this moment of facing it.
It is a good question, because I think it has something to do with the women in the family. I wrote Walchensee forever can also be with a question mark. Is it a curse or a blessing to be here and caught in all this, caught up in the generation line, and I think the women always took care of themselves, were independent, and my grandmother, of course, she had this feeling of helping their parents. It was a different time, but she never wanted to leave this place, and the cafe gave her some sort of independence working there. She wasn't she didn't rely on her husband, and I think it started all with the great grandmother that is also in the film, Appa, the great grandmother who grew up with 13 sisters and no man. So the man was a sheep. How do you say? Shepherd. He took care, shepherd, shepherd, and he was gone always. So it is something with the women in our family, the bond between the mothers and the daughters that is carried along, and the sense of and
it's something that you put together in a film, that you get to show finally, also, I would say, through the process of making the film.
Yeah, that's but it wasn't in my thought before my daughter, and then I got a daughter even. It's like in the end of the film, I wasn't expecting that, but it was a process. In the beginning, I didn't know where it leads to, and then I saw sometimes when you're even personal caught up in a story, you have to distance yourself, and then you see even clearer. And it is at the end of the film, finishing the film, I see even more clearer the whole, how everything is intertwined, and
And it also, I guess, involves what your conception of motherhood was. That is also something that was part of the process of making this film, or it wasn't.
My conception of how I think, totally. I'm also. My mom is raised me as a single mom. My father wasn't present, so he was far away in America. I was sad about it, but it did something with me. So it had an impact on how I raised my daughter, and I'm also now a single mom, and it like continues. I can't believe it. I had a boyfriend for 16 years, but it shouldn't be. So I wanted it maybe differently, but who knows what is out there and is waiting for me.
Yeah, and one thing that I also thought about is that. That concerning what we see in the film, and because it's a reflection on your family and on motherhood, on generations of women, and then you have a daughter, it's like, which is also it's like a new sign, and then it made me think about how, after all this, how do you want your daughter to grow up? Because we see all this, and we see you growing up as well.
How I want my daughter to grow up. It's sometimes I'm now with my daughter here in Walchensee during these times. I even moved here 1 year ago or 2 years ago, and I want her to be in nature, and. Of course, I'm thinking how it is for her without a real father that is present. I wish for it, but sometimes life, I can't. It's not only my part, it is the father's part too. So it's not my decision, really. I wish for her, I want to be there for her in a loving way and be very present in the now for her. So... and I do my best to be the mother I can be for her. Yeah.
And you always wanted to be a mother? It's something that you had clear?
I had it clear, but I always, I said, after I finished my film school or after and then I got into the late 30s and I thought, okay, I have to think about it now, if I want a child. And I said, of course I want a child. And the biological clock was ticking, and my mom was pregnant when she was 38. And I always thought, that's a good time. And for me, it was 39. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. One thing that also we see in your in the film is the music video that you make with your grandmother. So it gives us a hint of what you do professionally. But I wanted to ask you directly about what you're doing professionally, and also connected to the film, if you have now plans for other films that you're working on and so on.
Yeah, I do music, I sing in a band. I haven't been singing since a while, but now I pick up to create some new songs. And my grandmother always supported me in a creative way. She was like, I could take pictures of her, I could dress her up or tell her she should sing my song in the music video. And so we had a lot of fun together. And now I'm working on a fiction film, like a fictional story, but inspired of my own story, how I got my daughter. And I'm just in the treatment phase, so I'm just writing down the ideas. And it's called, the working title is Piano Man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. It's inspired of of my life, but it will be an auto fiction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get it. And is your mother also going to be part of this new project? For example, your mother, your grandmother, or that part of the
only
family?
My mother, but as actors. Not my mother won't be in the film again, but I will. I won't play it myself. I won't be the actress, but I will write a script for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But she's in it as a mother. Yeah, inspired by her.
Yeah. Also, one person that I wanted to ask you about is Rainer, who is a person who also has an important role in the film. Yeah. And also, but he's also a mysterious person. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you about your relationship with him and his relationship with the family, because we see that it's a very, very long relationship, and how it has been and how it is now.
It has been. He was the spiritual partner of my mother. So in the film it's explained how my mom met him through Frauke also, and Rainer is a very important figure or character in my mom's life. So he's the best, one of the very good friends, but he was never for me a father figure. So he didn't have like the impact on my life as a father, but he had an impact about his questions, his way of living. He's vegetarian, and that all had an impact on me. So I am vegetarian, and these constant questions that I have, like about the meaning of life, the search I am, what search am I, who am I? This comes from Rainer, and my mom has it too. So they always had, like, when I was a child or in my youth, they had like daily meetings, and it was very psychological about talking about them, and they were very radical about how life is, or talking about life, and on a constant search. And now he's in Munich living we still see him, but now he's the news is that he's very sick. He got cancer, and we don't know how long he will be around. But my grandmother, in the end, when she was very old, she always loved to see Rainer, and when he came to visit her. And so there's a deep connection between us, even if he can be like, he can be very also too much at some point, at some days, yeah.
And your mother, what about her nowadays, and what is she doing? How is her life?
Yeah, she's living in Walchensee. She was very also now involved in all this. After the film was finished, we had the premiere at the Berlinale, and that was amazing to be under 500 people for watching the film. And then, she's also available for interviews or for talking. So she's also in the whole process of promoting the film. And then she helps me a lot also with my daughter, well, because we're in Walchensee. And we have a lot of conversations about my new project. So I get inspired from her wisdom I kind of like her creative thinking about things.
And now you are there, living there in Walchensee. And when did you make that decision? And tell us about this change in your life, and going back to the place that we just saw in the film.
It is a phase in my life. I still have my apartment in Munich, so I'm between Munich and Walchensee. But Walchensee was my decision because of my daughter. I thought I can work from here. I can write, get inspired, be in the nature. And if I think what I want, I like the stillness that you have here. It's very, the lake also, I can't get enough of looking at the lake. But that doesn't mean that there's a world out there, and I'm going too. So it's not, I'm not just stuck here. So I'm very open to go anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Janna.
Yeah. Thank you.
For sharing all this with us and with the audience of the festival. And it's pity that we couldn't do this in person, but we also look forward for more films coming from you. So, and maybe we can show them.
Maybe we get the chance. So I will come to Budapest, and that would be nice. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we finished now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and also for watching my film and screening my film. And thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to watch your film. And it's so special to see that you are there right now.
Yeah, I wish you could see the lake behind me, but it's now pitch black, so
it's not like
dark.
But I know it's there.
Yeah, it is there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Janna.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you, Janna, for being with us, and thank you to the audience of the festival for being with us as well. Remember that from now on, after the premiere of the film, you can watch it anytime during the whole duration of the festival, and also this conversation that we had with Janna, the director of the film, you can watch it also anytime. So hope you enjoyed the film, or that you will enjoy the film.